Hey everybody, my name is MetalMusicMan.
And I'm Professor Lex.
And welcome to episode 39 of the Metal and Lex podcast, where it is morning and we're drinking coffee and not alcohol.
I don't have any alcohol in my coffee.
What
I have
responsible adults
syrup.
we are. Yeah.
This is the episode where we've sold out. We're officially over the hill.
Yeah, no. We got to do our morning whisper talk voices. Hello, welcome to the Metal and Lex podcast, where we are very political and responsible adults.
Oh shit, we're doing like an NPR thing.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Tell me more about when you were molested as a child or something, like some topic that's way too serious for a morning drive to work. At least that's what NPR always is for me. I'm like driving into work. It's like, tell me more about when you had to murder 72 dogs and then eat them all. And then I'm like, what? And then I pull into work because my work commute is like 1 minute long. And then I get out of my car. I'm like, what the fuck was I listening to? And like, and then I just go about my day. Anyway, that's my experience with NPR. Yeah.
But you, our poor listeners, I was going to say you lucked out, but our listeners didn't. I had hard morning voice this morning, but it is worn off.
See, I did too. And I thought when I first messaged you, it was like maybe an hour and a half ago or something.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, let's have a morning podcast. And I was like, I'm just gonna sound gravelly the whole time. Like
I've been sitting there gargling rocks.
Yeah. It's kind of gone away a little bit though. My morning voice is, it's like, it's still not deep because I don't have the deep. I don't have that. I don't have that. That's not a thing. So it's just very scratchy and like sometimes and so because I have so much range in my voice. And I go high and stuff all the time. I'll say hello to my cat and I'm just like, oh, hello. And I do the high voices of the cat. But if I'm morning gravelly, I'm just kind of like it just doesn't come out. Like it just doesn't come out. No, she doesn't.
No, she's not in.
She actually has the same thing though, because she'll do her weird little like cat mews. She does her little cat mews. They're like she wants to go high. And sometimes in the morning, it's just kind of like it's like we both need a drink of water is what I'm getting at.
You need the water. You need to do your vocal warm-ups. Avoid milk.
I know all about some weird vocal warm-ups. Yeah, that's I watched. If you guys want to learn how to scream sing, and the year is 2001, then you pirate Melissa Cross's series. Look up Melissa Cross. She teaches all the good scream singers how to scream sing more betterer. And she has some very embarrassing vocal warm-ups where you do like Gouts, where you say Gout.
Is that when you've got the buildup of acid in your ankle?
Yeah, the Gouts.
Oh, excuse me.
My cool story, if he's listening right now, my buddy Wilson, he is an old man and has like some sort of gout type thing, or
gout is unbearable.
Maybe it's pseudo gout. He's not sure. He's like going to the doctor to figure out if it's real gout or pseudo gout or some other kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, shout outs to being old and
shout outs to gout
and having gout, man. Crazy. Yeah, he was telling me the other day, he was like, dude, I don't know, my foot was like swollen and it was awful. And I was like, and I was just going along with it, right? Because it was kind of like whenever you had like the eye problems, you're just like, oh, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And then he was like, yeah, it might be gout. And I had to like Google gout. I was like, I don't even know what gout is. I know it's a thing I've heard. Don't like sailors have gout? I don't, like, what the fuck? And
do sailors have gout?
They get
I thought that they got scurvy.
That's what it is. I'm mixing scurvy up with gout.
Because of the
I was about to say,
D
thank God I didn't say, the sailors, they would eat oranges to keep themselves from getting gout. Because I definitely wasn't going to say that. And it's definitely scurvy. It's definitely scurvy.
Yeah, that was, fun fact, that was when I went to college, that was one of the bits of advice my dad gave me. He wasn't like, don't drunk drive. He didn't say like, wear a condom. He was like, don't get scurvy. Dude, it is fucked up. You don't want to get scurvy.
How do you get scurvy in college? Like, you just don't eat right, I guess?
Yeah, Dad just assumed I was going to eat. He thought I was going to eat too many cans of ravioli.
You're on the Totino's diet.
Yeah, but I always drink a big thing of fruit punch. That's my shit because I don't drink soda. So
well, and I've heard if you go to like a crazy college party and you like find yourself in an orgy, anytime you're about to have unprotected sex, if you just peel an orange and shove it up your ass, you actually can't get an STD.
I thought that you what do you call it when you're making a mixed drink and it calls for the juice of one lemon? What do you call this motion? Squeezing. No. Wait, where is it? Just squeezing? Where you put it over the thing and then juicing? Yeah. I thought that you were supposed to juice an orange over your dick. I've been sitting here doing the motion for like 5 minutes.
I'm like juicing? Squeezing?
Is it juicing?
I think it's just juicing.
Just call it juicing?
Just juice and orange. Yeah, you just juice and orange. Yeah. I've never juiced an orange with my dick before. That's not something which is weird because you would think I would have. I've definitely, at this point, I've definitely fucked some vegetables, but I've never juiced an orange with my dick. Like that's, that's territory I have not crossed.
Is this like a tuber situation or the deadly nightshade family? Have you the vegetables that you fucked?
Deadly nightshade. What road are we going down right now, Alex?
I'm asking you about the vegetables that you fucked. Is it like potatoes and eggplants, or do you go for a starchy root
vegetable? It's really just one vegetable.
Like squash.
One time when I was at band camp, I stuck a one time when I was how old would I have been? I was probably like 11.
Is this a real story?
This is a real story. I like Alex, I need to give him a minute because he didn't think this was about to be a real story. See now, can we put this podcast into the evidence locker for? Okay, hang on. I got a brief aside, and I'll get back to this. One of the most annoying things about being me is that when I'm me and there's a beer near me, everyone's like, "Oh, Metal's wasted. That's why he's." I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with whether or not I've had any alcohol. That is not even.
You haven't had alcohol in hours.
No, it's been at least like 10 hours since I had alcohol. It has nothing to do with anything. So that is so annoying for me. Like whenever I start being myself, if I go to like a work Christmas party and I'm like, oh, it's the Christmas party, I'll unwind. And then everyone's like, oh man, Will had some beers. Look at him. He's crazy. I'm like, no, this is just how I am. And I suppress myself. Crazy. I suppress myself 99% of the time. So anyway, I was probably like 11 and I made like a homemade vegetable fleshlight out of like a microwavable zucchini. And I carved it out with a spoon. And I like microwaved it so it was a little bit warm. And
no, really?
Oh yeah, that's a real thing. That's a thing people do.
That's what they recommend.
I was on some forum about how to jack off better.
4chan?
Because I didn't know about 4chan back then, but jacking off is a skill like anything else. You want to know what other people. It's like when you want to learn what your combos are, and you go watch somebody else's like tutorial about how to play. You want to know maybe I'm not doing that combo.
Videos?
It's a different combo.
You were watching tech vids. You were looking at.
No, they weren't tech vids. They were tech articles, but yeah, there's
sure.
Yeah, there,
stored on forums, right?
Like I didn't know about plinking when it came to jacking off as an 11-year-old. Okay, I had to learn. Like someone else had to tell me, like, oh yeah, you can plink some shit. Anyway, long story short, wouldn't recommend. Very messy. The structural integrity of a zucchini is I wouldn't say it was awful either. It worked. But I never felt the need to
do it again,
carve out a zucchini and turn it into a fleshlight ever again after that. It didn't seem like it just, there's just too many. Okay, this is, I'm going to give you one more quote.
Google image a zucchini, but
I'm going to give you one more quote that I ran into on my years of vegetable wank off tech, which was that I was reading some other thread. And some person was like, oh man, what's like the best household object I could safely put in my butt or something? And they were like, is it a shampoo bottle? Is it like a comb or a brush handle rather? Definitely all these different things they're going over. And so the first post that was like a response to this was like, okay, don't use a shampoo bottle or anything with a cap. That's a bad idea, right? And I was like, yeah, good for this person. That was like my first thought is like, what do you mean shampoo bottle? No idiot puts a shampoo bottle up their ass unless you've got A, a very big ass, or B, a very conveniently shaped shampoo bottle, and C, most importantly, you need to not put the cap, and then that's just basic. I didn't need to go to the forum to know that. You don't want anything to fucking break off in your butt. That's the worst thing ever, right?
Oh yeah. Then you have to tell someone how you.
This is also why like all fruits and vegetables are a horrible idea. This is the thing. So anyway, then some genius comes into the thread, and he's literally just like, well, I don't know. This was a gender neutral forum. But the genius comes in, and they're like, there's no reason to do any of these things when you can buy a dildo for $8. And I was like, that is truly the best advice ever. Like, why are you scouring your house and the answer is probably that you're 11 and you don't know where to buy something, I guess. But whatever age I was, I don't remember how old I was reading this, but it was just like, oh yeah, that makes an awful lot of sense. Like I don't know how much I thought a dildo was at that time in my life. What, $200?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So this poor soul is like running around their house looking for what device they can fucking.
Can I use the flashlight?
Yeah, exactly. And this guy's like, dude, just buy it. Just buy it. Just buy a thing. It's like $8. I don't care how poor you are. like it's like $8 and it won't break off in your ass.
Ideally. I guess that's really a matter of
technique. Do you remember when we had a topic? We had a topic. We were going to talk about music, and somehow here we are.
I'm not ready for the music yet.
All right.
I need to go back to, we need to revisit the zucchini.
Oh, yes. Sure. By all means.
Okay. So a zucchini, for our listeners at home who are from another planet.
It's a vegetable.
Yeah. It's sort of a long tube-like shape, right? So when you fuck the zucchini, did you do it long ways or short ways?
What kind of a question is that, Alex?
I don't know if you're like juicing the zucchini over your dick or if you're like using it like a fleshlight.
Like a fleshlight.
So long ways.
Like a fleshlight. How do you fuck it short ways? That doesn't. Well, like that's like. Wait a minute. Fucking a zucchini, the horizontal side first is like if you gave someone a Kit Kat bar and they just took a bite out of it. Like what kind? What kind of fucking sociopath just fucking takes a look at a zucchini and then what do you just ram your dick straight through it, horizontal, straight through one side out the other, and then you've got like a zucchini propeller on your boner that you can just spin around and fly?
What I thought you were. That's why I wanted to know.
Why do you need to even ask that question?
I never thought to fuck a zucchini.
Okay, even if, let's say you never thought to fuck a zucchini, just looking at a zucchini, you're like, I can't believe you asked me that question. I can't believe there's any other way anyone could ever interpret that. It leads
to a second question. So zucchinis have that little stalk end at the top.
Yeah, you got to cut that off. That's the.
Is that the point of entry?
Oh, actually, I don't recall. Maybe I left the stalk end on as a natural stopping point. I don't remember. This is again, I only did this the one time and I was like fucking 11 or something. I don't even remember how old I was.
That's fine. I just never thought to fuck a zucchini is all. And
bro, are you telling me you've never been like home alone?
Damn, that's a good looking vegetable.
Everyone's doing no, it's not that. It's like everyone's doing things. Everyone's out. They have things to do. Your parents are like at work, your brother or sister are like a soccer game or something. And like you played a video game for an hour and a half and you made yourself like some food and then you just got bored and you were just like, I wonder what household items I can have sex with.
No.
This is as ridiculous as when you told me you just don't have sex dreams ever. It's never happened.
Okay, so if everybody's gone and I'm sitting there making a bowl of cereal and I realize I'm horny, I'll probably just jerk off.
If you leave me alone,
the normal way.
No, if you leave me alone, well, see, okay, if you leave me alone in a room and I don't have like a game to play, or I already played the game, like say, okay, let's back up. There's like, you ever do like a family like vacation spot thing or something where like you're away from like the technology and
I mean,
you know, maybe not in the wilderness, but you're like somewhere that, you know, there's
not as easy to have your Nintendo.
There's nothing to do. Okay. If you leave me alone with nothing to do for like 5 minutes as like a fucking 15-year-old or whatever age, first of all, I'm going to jack off, but then I'm still going to be bored. And then after I've already jacked off the one time, I'm going to start looking for things that I can have sex with. That's like, just because you want to know. Like, you know, like maybe like a sleeping bag or like a fucking zucchini.
Have you fucked a sleeping bag?
Yeah, man, it rolls up in a nice little circle. How do you not get curious about these things? So this is where, okay, this is exactly where, like, when I talk to someone like you, I don't understand your existence. Like I don't understand how, like, are people, do you not like, okay, there's a disgraced comedian, Louis C.K., who I will still always like a lot of things for, even though he's a disgraced piece of shit. But one of his greatest lines that I just absolutely love is where he's like, "Can I just go to the library and pick up a new library card without imagining myself coming on the librarian's face. She's 80 years old. I'm not even into her, but I can't not imagine fucking her in the face while I get a library card. You don't feel that way? I just feel like everything or person that I think about, there's some like sexual context no matter what happens. It's just always there. And it doesn't even, I wouldn't even describe it. He's like, oh, it's so exhausting. And I think exhaustion is the right word because it's so normal that it's not even like, it doesn't weird me out. It's just like, oh God, I'm trying to fucking, do this task.
You just want to get a library card.
And it's just like, yep, there it is. Yeah, no, it's just what happens. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, that's just how my brain has always been since I was a babe. Like I can't remember not having like sex thoughts about every single thing that always occurs. It's just never, I don't know.
Sometimes when I close my eyes, if I've been playing Tetris for a while, I still see the blocks.
Sure. That's a thing.
That's about, I think, as close as I can get to just
never fucking the Tetris blocks.
Fucking no.
Never.
No.
If you were gonna fuck a Tetris block, by the way, the T block is basically a flared butt plug already. Yeah. So that's clearly. I mean, it's a little short, but it'll get the job done. All right. Well, anyway, Alex.
Ostensibly, we came here to talk about our musical history. We were going
to talk about music. That we had a topic, and now we've spent the last 20 minutes.
Is it 20 minutes?
Talking about fucking. It's like 15.
Fine.
It's like 15 minutes. Sometimes it happens.
We've got plenty of time.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens. There's no segue. There's no segue. Alex is distraught right now. I want you guys to know he is visibly shook by the revelation.
I can't imagine thinking about sex that much. I feel like I think about sex like a lot, or like the normal amount, I guess. Which is to say, frequently.
Yeah, no, like it just happens.
I've never wanted to or thought about railing an 80-year-old.
You don't. What you're saying is you don't have sexual thoughts about people who you don't want to have sex with. Is I think a key difference. Yeah. And I do. I have. And I think that's also probably part of that, like the way my brain works that way. Like that's probably part of like why sexuality is so much less
taboo
for me. Yeah, because like when other people, and it's also why I think the whole like sexual spectrum conversation can be very frustrating for me with some people, because a lot of people just have like the weird revulsion part and they can't get over it. And for me, that's like not a thing, because I am so used to being repulsed by sex thoughts that anything
you're numb to
anything is fun. Yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm just kind of like, whatever. Like I've already had like way more fucked up thoughts than whatever this like totally normal act that, like it just doesn't bother me, because I'm like, I'm already so used to being bothered by the idea. Oh yeah, it's completely numb.
Okay.
Right. Alex is very distressed. I don't think Alex was ready to.
I'm coping. This is my processing phase. I'm taking it all in, like you would a comb,
like you would a comb, straight in, yeah, or a horizontal zucchini,
or the T square, the T, the T spit or T piece in Tetris. I forgot the name of the block. I forgot the word block.
T block. Yes. Yeah. You can.
You wanna tell me about your musical history first, and then I'll remember who I am.
Oh my god, yeah, Alex can't handle this, you guys. I have broken him.
Okay, just yesterday we played Smash, right?
Yes.
And at no point during yesterday or any day before it did I think you fucked a zucchini.
It's not really that weird. It's like, it seems like nature's fleshlight, man. Ooh, that's the podcast title. Nature's fleshlight. No, I can't. That, man, I might. We'll see.
Trying to get banned.
We'll see. Yeah, that's a tempting one, dude. Nature's fleshlight, man. It's there. It's there for you. Oh my God. All right, we're shifting into music. There's no climbing out of this ditch. So our actual topic today is Jesus Christ.
Remember when you were like, do you want to talk about Marvel in the preamble? Nah.
I do. We were going to talk about some games and here.
No.
I don't even remember how this occurred. This is my superpower. Somehow
here.
I will talk about a thing. It doesn't matter how little conversation there is. And I can't plan it. It just my brain's like, here's a topic, and it just starts. I don't. There's probably something you said. I don't even remember. It was probably something you said about the pizza or whatever, and it just somehow.
My dad.
Oh, the orange and the scurvy and the fucking.
An
there it
orange
is. See, there it is. Boom.
And then you're like, oh yeah, haha. I'm waxing nostalgic about that time I fucked the zucchini.
It's not nostalgic. It was
to be young again. My whole life and a zucchini ahead of me.
Okay, so now you what you don't realize is like that's actually pretty true though, because there's definitely like a part of me that it's like I definitely have. It's like my being old. It's like you do notice, or at least I've noticed, like changes in my sex drive, and I don't want to fuck zucchinis as much as I used to. And it's like to be young again.
Not at all, but not as much.
I mean, I haven't hung out with my good friend the zucchini in over a decade, if not even longer.
Sure, the right zucchini.
It's been far longer than that. The right.
Dress it up, give it a little lipstick.
No, but like I think it's okay. I think it's more. No. Hang on. Let's get a little serious about the silliness of this for 5 seconds. So I think it is the difference of when you're young. When you're young, you're gonna you're too stupid. You don't know anything, and so you will run around your house and think about like what things you can have sex with, right? Like, oh, is that couch? Like, okay, you're crazy.
I guess I was just a really smart child.
Smart? How dare
you? You said you were dumb when you were young and you thought about fucking the couch.
Well, no. The dumbness is sure, but the dumbness is more that you don't know how things work. So let's use video games for an example. When you're a kid, you're like, oh man, I'm going to learn how to do all these different things in this video game because I want to know what I could do with blah. And then like maybe when you're older, you would just think of like a better way to achieve that and not like you might just buy a video game when you're older. Whereas like when you're young, you've got to like save up all your money for a thing and beg and plead and really think about which one you want and really get in. But when you're older, you're just like, oh, I have money, I can do whatever I want. So it's like when you're older, you're just like, I'm going to go on Amazon and buy a zucchini. Yeah, but yes, right. Whereas like when you're younger, like you're more God, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Resourceful because you don't know. Yeah, you don't know that you can just buy that shit on a website or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Or in my case, if you're very old, you can't because that doesn't really exist yet.
Yeah, the internet hadn't been invented yet. Well, they had the other internet. Yeah.
Anyway, good Lord. All right. So Alex is going to recover. I want you to know that he just took his glasses off and like wiped them down. It's a very stereotypical. He's like wiping the fog off of his glasses. He's fanning his face.
Well, I had a brief stint of the vapors, but I think I have mostly recovered.
Okay, so music stuff is what we're actually going to talk about now that no one's going to remember it at this point, but that's okay.
We did, and that's what counts.
So I am the Metal Music Man.
Yes, I've heard tell.
And initially, I think we talked about briefly about like handles and such, and the story of my handle is that I liked Metallica and was like 10 years old or whatever, and thought alliteration was cool, and this was what I made up as my CompuServe handle. My CompuServe, MetalMusicMan at CompuServe.com was my email address.
You're about to get emailed, man. You just doxed yourself. Go back and in post edit that.
CompuServe was like the knockoff, shittier version of America Online. It was like better in some ways. They actually were like the first like major internet company at some point, like even before this, but then they like eventually failed and died and AOL bought them, and then they were just like weird knockoff AOL. Anyway, that's why I have my handle. Metallica's cool. I got like very obsessed with Metallica. It was like the very first like thing that I was like, oh man, like I think this is so fucking sweet, and I'm gonna like go backwards through all of their albums because I found out about like the Reload album was the first one with like Fuel and Memory Remains and all that, and hearing that probably like on the radio, and then I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And they would only play them so often because like Metallica as metal goes is like extremely friendly. It's like barely metal, but it's still very not friendly for like the average person who listens to like or at least especially at that time,
decent Christian woman.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And so, but they were certainly more approachable and even commercial, even for a very commercial band. Around like the Reload era, they started to kind of like get a little bit more of that. So anyway, I went backwards through all those albums, and I was like, oh man, these are so cool. And like I listened to all of them, and then like S&M came out, which is Symphony and Metallica, if you don't know. And
I thought you were talking about the Rihanna song with Britney Spears.
Oh no, I thought you were just gonna say, Slave and Master or something.
No. It's Submission and Masochism.
It's Slave
or Sadism and Masochism. Pardon me.
Sadomasochism is not S and M. That's just SM, right? Isn't S&M usually Slave and Master?
No. SM would be like sadomasochistic. S and M is sadism and masochism.
I gotta look this up now. Look this up. S&M.
Short for and M.
I thought it was Slave Master.
No.
Really?
No, no.
Well, it's the same idea, I guess, right?
But, no, that's a pain play, and you're dealing with a power dynamic.
Yeah, aren't they often pretty similar?
I mean, they're usually related, but like second cousins, kissing cousins, not like.
Okay, so what we've learned today is that S&M is about fucking your cousin. Moving on. So
second cousin.
Your second cousin, excuse me. Interesting. Well, anyway, so S&M is an album. It's Symphony and Metallica. It's fucking cool. They played a bunch of songs with the fucking San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. It's really neat. And so that was all like the initial, but that's actually not what I'm here to talk about. That is the pre-con. Oh, wow. That is, yeah, I know, right? Is that not the most me thing?
What ever? A twist.
That is the pre-context. So I started getting into like, looking around for more different things, and my friends, knew some bands and blah, blah, blah. And, we really never got too into the metal, beyond like Metallica and a couple other, so there's like Anthrax. You're aware of all like the 80s, 90s thrash bands. So Anthrax and Slayer, I knew about those. And like, I really liked like Slayer's, the album with Killing Fields on it. I forget if that's the name of the album or not, but no, the album's called Divine Intervention. Divine Intervention's a great album. Like that shit's cool. And it was all neat, but that's all still like older hat metal, right? That has like it had a more mainstream appeal at that time, but they were like established older thrash bands, right? So it was mostly like thrash metal because that was like coming out of the 80s. That makes sense. I didn't get into metalcore, which is really Metalcore Music Man. If you want to like be more specific, is definitely my bigger metal. So metalcore is a combination of post-hardcore or hardcore punk and metal. Typically, that's where the word comes from, metalcore. So hardcore punk is faster. Okay. It's faster. It's less. It's a little less technical typically, whereas like metal is like more like showing off with solos. Hardcore punk is like more straight to the point. And so you combine that with metal, and in my opinion, metalcore is like some of the most brutal shit, to the point where like even people kind of meme about it because it's so brutal. Like they're like, oh, there's a breakdown, which is true. I mean, like any genre's got its its highs and its lows, but it's pretty hard shit. Okay. And where the metalcore really came into play, and this is something I think you might find interesting, which is actually why I wanted to bring this topic up, because you like the horrors.
I do. Okay. As a matter of fact. Eldritch, Lovecraftian.
Yeah, I do not like the horrors so much. Generally speaking, I know much more about it having known Alex than I typically ever have. But weirdly, if you actually distilled pretty much the 90th percentile of the music that I like, it is all because of the Freddy versus Jason soundtrack. Do you know about this?
Which you saw? You saw the Freddy versus Jason?
I watched Freddy versus Jason like in theaters because my friends wanted to see it, and it was like a cool hype movie that came out at the time, and it was like, oh, they're gonna fight, it's cool. I didn't really give a shit about it, right? Like if my friends hadn't like wanted to see it, I would have A, never seen it, and then B, more importantly, I think it was my friend Daniel, which is weird. I haven't talked about my friend Daniel too much on this podcast, but he is like weirdly uncreditedly influential in a lot of our group's music tastes because of what I'm about to talk about. So like, and even some other bands, but like, there's a lot of stuff where me or my buddy Wilson are like generally the bigger like metalhead people generally like in our group. But initially it was like all my friend Daniel. And he's just like very soft spoken, and he just like you would never think about that. But so he got the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack. Now I'm going to read off some band names here. which you may not know, but if anybody listening to this knows anything about my musical taste, this is like literally every band that I liked in the early 2000s. And it's just crazy to me how good this soundtrack is, because the movie was shit. It's a dumb, stupid movie, but like whoever made this soundtrack was like in the shit. They knew some shit before anybody knew some shit, because every fucking band on here is like super banger. So, okay, you got Il Nino. Okay, Il Nino is like one of my favorite bands. Christian Mikado follows me on Twitter. He's the singer of Il Nino, and I'm very cool. Killswitch Engage, which I think everybody probably knows. Spineshank, oh my fucking god, Spineshank. Mushroomhead, what the fuck? Slipknot's on there. Chimera, From Autumn to Ashes. Devil Driver, fucking In Flames, Lamb of God. Like, what the fuck? And so there's this album, and then there was another one. I don't remember what movie it was, but there was another movie that had like this crazy early 2000s metal soundtrack, and one of the bands on that was 36 Crazy Fists, which is pretty much my favorite band of all time. So my friend Daniel like got these soundtracks, and it was just like, what the fuck is this? And what it was that we didn't know at the time. So there's also like, then I started going to like metal fests more, not my Smash Fests. And like, then I found out about like Bleeding Through and fucking like Strapping Young Lad and all these different like early 2000s metal bands. And what it was is what Lamb of God is generally credited for being the biggest one, is something that now historically is referred to as the new wave of American metal. And so these are mostly metal bands that they're more metalcore than anything else, but some of them are less so. Like Lamb of God is really not metalcore. Lamb of God is like just pure, well, they actually refer to themselves as like pure American metal or whatever the fuck, but like they're basically just like a metal band. They're not like as genre smashing. So like Lamb of God is one of my favorite bands, and even the metalhead people who shit on me for liking metalcore, they're like, oh, you like okay, there's a thing a lot of times where like I'm MetalMusicMan, and then people find out I'm into metalcore, and if they're like the default metal douche, they're like, oh, you're not into metal. I'm like, fuck, that's the worst thing about metal.
They gatekeep you. Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing about metalcore, is that metalcore generally is about well, there's more emo in it, if I'm being honest. So 36 Crazy Fists is, so post-hardcore is what you call emo when you don't want to be derogatory. That is what emo actually is. It is post-hardcore. Okay. So it's like the hardcore punk that I was talking about, right? And then their post of it, they're like a little bit softer. They're not afraid to, they're still hard, right? There's like a lot of hard shit in them, but they're not afraid to do that. So 36 Crazy Fists is the shit, because they can hang with like metal bands. They get a lot of like respect from them. They actually are just like straight up metal, but then sometimes they're just like super fucking like emo, singy, whatever the fuck. And what I like about them is that they crush that like stereotype that metal bands have to try so hard to put on the rah, rah, rah bravado, you know? And that's what a lot of those like old hat metalheads do with like metalcore in general, is like, to them, it's like poisoning the well or something.
Sure. Yeah, you're making it too excited. It's the Guilty Gear Strive effect.
Or something. I don't know. Well, it's not the accessibility, because it's still pretty inaccessible, if I'm being honest. It's more the fact that they don't like, I mean, it's more accessible, I guess, than metal. That's fair, but it's not particularly accessible because it's still fucking metal. It's just, they don't like the, I don't know, like the vulnerability of it. It's some stupid masculine bullshit. Nice. But what's interesting, yeah, exactly. But what's interesting about Lamb of God being in that is, like I said, they're really not that at all. And so they still kind of spearheaded this, where it was like there were all these new metal bands that hadn't existed. And so anyway, coming up in the early 2000s is basically like all those bands basically originate from that time, that initial soundtrack, and that whole thing. And so I didn't know if you knew that, but that was kind of like what I wanted to go over, is that little history lesson of it. Okay. There's a lot of other bands that came out of there, but a lot of the bands that are my favorite bands are from, weirdly, that soundtrack. There's some that were on different things, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's sort of, I don't give a shit about Freddy Krueger or Jason or horror movies. But yeah, but weirdly, I think I would not know about a lot of the bands that I know about if not for that soundtrack. So that's my spiel. Tell us about your life, Alex. Tell us about when you fucked a Hugo.
When I learned about music. Okay, so I have mentioned previously that my first memory is from the second stage in Sonic 2, Chemical Plant Zone.
Yes.
I'm relatively certain that that's because of the soundtrack for that stage. If you get a chance, if you've never played Sonic 2, or even if you have, listen to it again. Chemical Plant Zone, great song.
Everybody likes the Sonic 2 music. I feel like it's all pretty high up there. Yeah.
All of it's really good. And what's wild. Okay. So like, strictly speaking, I think the Super Nintendo's hardware, I didn't have a Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo's hardware was more advanced when it came to the sound chip, how it processes sound. So you could have like, I think more voices and more fidelity of sound in the Super Nintendo, which is why you get like your classical composers like Nobuo Uematsu, the Final Fantasy guy, did all of his stuff on Super Nintendo. I mean, he did it because that's where it's not important. The important thing is that the people who made games for Sega, in addition to having to be talented at composing music, had to learn certain tricks and develop sort of a style around the limited capability of the hardware.
There's always that technical aspect of that kind of music that like it's both a challenge to overcome and a signature of like how it sounds and what. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think what then would have had more impact on me is the Streets of Rage soundtrack.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That one had some bangers.
It does. It was actually way ahead of its time.
And you were, what I'm picking up here also is you were video game music before you were real music in terms of your appreciation. Is that accurate?
I think it happened at about the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Yuzo Koshiro and Morihiro Kawashima, they were the composers for Streets of Rage. All the tracks on the original Streets of Rage and on the later ones as well have a weird like electronic vibe to them, but also as a function of like the sort of music that they had exposed themselves to when they were trying to develop the soundtrack for Streets of Rage. It sounds, it's got, you know, your EDM house synths, but it's also got this weird, like dirty electro funk element to it.
Those are good words.
And it's the funk, right? That is what stuck out to me. That
your funk awakening.
That was my funk awakening. So like between that and my dad, like everyone listened to Queen, everyone listens to whatever. My dad has sort of eclectic tastes in music. So like I had my standard Queen exposure. I've listened to all of the classic rock, your ZZ Top, the Eagles, whatever. That's not the important part. Dad's a big funk fan. And so I got plenty of exposure to like Parliament Funkadelic, the Brides of Dr. Funkenstein. If none of these sound familiar to you, that's okay. You should know Parliament, actually.
I don't particularly know either of those, although I have heard the phrase "the Brides of Dr. Funkenstein." So I'm sure.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the music, but I've definitely heard that as like a name.
Okay, so Parliament was a thing from like 1955 onto the 70s or whatever. Parliament sort of spun out. That's where you get Parliament Funkadelic with George Clinton, and then Bootsy
I know
Collins.
George Clinton.
Yeah.
I know George Clinton. What a guy that guy is.
Dude,
he was on
crazy.
Like the Muppets from time to time, and that guy was fucking awesome.
So it was him. It was Bootsy Collins, who my dad abhors for some reason. And then like that's sometime into Parliament Funkadelic's life cycle. I think we got the spinoffs, and anyway, it's a whole bunch of funk, right? So I'm sitting here with these baked in ideas of funk, vague electronic music, and then my classic rock that everyone had. Right.
You know, you say that, I don't want to overtake you too much, but like I did not have too much of that classic rock thing. And you're not the first person who's kind of offhandedly been like, oh yeah, the classic rock. I remember listening, I would hear like Beatles songs or I would hear Queen. I never liked any of that shit. I always thought it was obnoxious.
Too soft?
I don't remember when exactly I heard it. So I don't know. I know after the fact, yeah, people would be like, oh yeah, this is like, people be like, oh yeah, ZZ Top or whatever. And like, I didn't really dislike ZZ Top. I mean, who doesn't like Sharp Dressed Man or something? It's fine.
Sure.
But I think it was too poppy for me. I never wanted to sit down and listen to it. I think, you know what I mean? So like, that's interesting though that you say that, because I do know a lot of other people that are like, I forget, you mentioned another band that was in your classic rock thing that was,
the Eagles?
Yeah, like Hotel California or whatever the fuck, and like I just don't resonate with those songs the way most people I know do. I don't hear them and get like angry. Well, I did feel that way about Queen actually. The first time I heard Queen songs, I was like, this is stupid. Why does anybody want to listen to this?
In defense of Queen, there's some really good B-sides. Like I would bet that you've never heard the song that I'm thinking of that I can't remember the name of. I remembered it a second ago. Say something while I think.
Queen stuff. I will say I like Queen a lot more now than I did when I was first exposed to it. But there was definitely a period of my life where like a lot of that old rock, I guess. It just didn't.
Your classics.
It didn't. Well, it's not quite. I don't know. Those aren't all. I mean, I guess they're classics now. But like
the ones that we're mentioning are at least.
Well, but like if you think about, if memory serves, Queen was not considered good by a lot of people until Wayne's World. Yeah. In the modern era, anyway. I mean, obviously they were very successful, in the 70s when they were doing things. Sure. But like in the modern, like post 90s era, I think most people had forgotten about and didn't give a shit about or even know about Queen until Wayne's World was a thing. And so that was around when I was exposed to it. And like I thought the scene in Wayne's World was funny, but I guess it's weird because like to me some of that music is like, I think that's how people feel about my musical taste a lot of the time, where they're like, I can't believe you just sit here and listen to like this 9-minute song with 2 guitar solos, Will. That's so weird. And I'm like, I don't understand people who sit down and listen to some of that. Like it's so odd to me to sit there and like enjoy. And I think the opera part of Queen makes so much more sense to me now than it did when I was first exposed to it. But like, Queen is maybe a bad example, but like some of the stuff, like, I don't know, the Eagles, or even if we're getting more popular, like less like rock, like some of the, like the Beatles songs that people like, I don't understand listening. There's like a few Beatles songs I really like that are like,
same. In general, I do
Twist and Shout to me is a metal song.
Who?
Twist and Shout. Come on. Like that's one of the Beatles guys, right?
No.
Isn't it?
It's not the Beatles.
I thought it was a Beatles guy. Isn't that one of the Beatles guys? Yeah, it's the Beatles. Yes. And it's so the reason that sounds all weird is it's the one that they don't normally let sing. Okay? I don't remember his name. I don't know enough about the Beatles. But to me, that is an early metal song. Those vocals are so fucking metal. Like he is not singing properly, quote unquote, at all. And I loved that shit.
If I may, Twist and Shout was written by Phil Medley and Burt Burns.
But the Beatles covered
recorded by the Top Notes. No. It did not. It did not top charts until 1962 when it was topped by the Isley Brothers. Respect.
But I'm talking about the Beatles one. I'm talking about the Beatles one.
But I'm talking about the Isley Brothers. I'm saying don't forget that they exist.
I'm not forgetting them, but for my point specifically, the performance of it by the Beatles is like it's very raspy. It's a very different style than anything they did or than
uglier.
Anything. Yeah, but I loved it. I remember hearing that and being like, this is the first thing, and other people didn't like. They wanted to listen to like Hey Jude or something
because it's pretty.
Yeah. Anyway, I filled your time. You asked me to
fill time. Okay, so there's a song, and it's still going to be okay. So, A Night at the Opera. Everyone knows the number one hit single off of A Night at the Opera.
I don't even know what A Night at the Opera is.
Bohemian Rhapsody. It's the album.
Oh, okay, yes,
with Bohemian Rhapsody on it.
Yep. Okay.
No one knows any of the other songs. They do, but listen to, and I bet you've never heard it. It's called the Prophet Song.
Don't know it.
It's like 10 minutes long. It's a fucking banger.
That's fun.
It's very operatic.
I like me some operatic stuff. Yeah.
It's too pretty for you. It's too clean, but it's still really good. And I think if you want the Queen vibe, where it's a really clean, pretty song, but you still want that movement based thing that you enjoy from the metal songs that you played for me, I think that's your best bet. They've also got a song called "Dedicated To," which is uglier than most any other song I can think of from Queen.
I like my music dirty, generally speaking. And I think that's if you're comparing like when we brought up metalcore earlier, one of the things that was very common in metalcore at that time, and one of the reasons I think it hit mainstream so much more easily, is it would be these crazy harsh, like hardcore punk mixed with metal is just like, you're not only like scream singing, you're really fast. It's like fucking brutal. But then a lot of times they would have really, really clean hooks. And that was the first thing that really made me get into when I was in like my first metal phase, is like getting back into like more standard stuff where I'm like, I can allow this because the is catchy, but like the rest of the song is still like being exclusive and like shitting on you. So yeah, I don't hate a clean song, is I guess what I'm getting at.
That's fine.
But I typically am more drawn to the dirtier ones.
I'm absolutely going to link you these two Queen songs. They're definitely worth a listen.
I'll check them out.
Also, I guess so everyone listens to Queen, everyone listens to the Eagles. The stuff that is like not necessarily everyone's docket. My dad played a lot of Yes when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah. I know nothing.
Do you know Yes?
No, I don't.
Okay. You should just listen to everything. Listen to Fragile. Anyway, Yes was in there. Got a lot of Pink Floyd.
Sure.
And then ELO, Electric Light Orchestra.
I know that name, and I feel like I would know one or two of their songs, but I can't.
Mr. Blue Sky, probably.
I can't think of them right now. I don't know. I can't hear them in my head, but I know that name.
Yeah.
No, it can't be that one.
You got to know Mr. Blue Sky.
What else do they have?
You did it right.
What else do they have?
Soon comes Mr. I don't know.
I gotta look up their greatest hits. I know a song by them. Evil Woman.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then they of course did Can't Get It Out of My Head, which isn't that the Kylie Minogue sample or something?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
For Your Love Is All I Think About.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Mr. Blue Sky at all, though. I've never heard that.
Did you see the second Guardians movie?
Mm-hmm.
It plays
the best Marvel movie. I'll fight you to the death.
It plays in the opening sequence.
Okay.
Yeah, when Groot's like running around, and it's good. Anyway, and then like from my Aunt Debbie and my cousins and stuff, I listened to a lot of I call it the anecdotal rap era, but it's the De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, all of them.
I know A Tribe Called Quest's name.
You probably know Matt.
I know one or two songs maybe by them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. They're great. They're phenomenal music. But like that, I think laid the groundwork for when I was in. I discovered Daft Punk through YTMND. There's an Azumanga Daioh where she's bobbing her head to by Fused Break. What's the name of that song? I'm letting myself down.
You're the man now, dog.
Yeah, that's
pour one out for Sean Connery, I guess.
Technologic, that's the word. So then that sort of parlayed into do you remember when Kanye sampled Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger?
Yes.
This
is all much more recent than I expected, though.
Do what?
So what you're bringing up is like much more recent than I expected you to be giving examples.
I wasn't really into modern rap until like 2008.
Really? See, now that's surprising to me. I just kind of assumed because you're so sort of in the know, I figured you were I did a
deep dive sort of thing. Like I went backwards. I worked my way back. But
so now then let me ask you this. So do you categorize that that time, like around your 2008 of getting into that, is that like your big music awakening, or are you saying it was when you were younger with like the funk and stuff?
No, because that was all just laying the groundwork for where I'm at today. I think that was probably when I got into Kanye is when I had the awakening.
That's exactly what I wanted to know, because that's really interesting. That's so much later than I expected it to be. Because for me, I think it was like it was like the early. It was like before I graduated high school. Even I would say with like Metallica and stuff, I would have been probably like a sophomore, and then you had like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all that shit too. But that's really interesting that yours is so much later.
Yeah, that was like right around at the end of my high school.
So like
career.
you were into music. When did you graduate high school?
Oh wait.
Okay, so then, well, I guess it's not that weird. I forget that you're kind of a baby. So that's not you are a little later than me, but like it's not. You're only a couple years. It's less than I was thinking. Okay,
it's not so bad.
Okay,
I don't mind being a late bloomer.
Okay,
but like. All of that kind of that was the turning point. Everything laid the groundwork for like where I'm at now, where I just roll down the street in my not quite suburban neighborhood, blaring "Run the Jewels," because like "Run the Jewels" is really just the culmination of everything that I enjoy. It's got that highly oversampled music where everything's like gritty and dirty and compressed and crunchy and
intentionally
the
not
vocals are all
clean
angry.
is something we can both agree on everything you just said very much. Like it's amazing how much that spans genre. Right, like that crunch. The crunch and the angriness and it's like it is very like that is actually very similar, despite how completely different our musical sounds are.
The background is and like it's got that like heavy electronic vibe, but it's all run through that filter of everything needing to be crunchy and gritty and unclean and not that I don't appreciate the clean stuff, not that I don't like a handful of R&B, Jamie Foxx is actually a halfway decent vocalist. My favorite Kanye song is Slow Jams. So like,
can you imagine being someone like that? Like just the multi-talentedness of people like Jamie Foxx is insane to me. Like he's a top tier like actor, singer, like everything. Like I don't know, that's just fucking ridiculous to me. Like what a fucking. It must be nice to be a dude like that. And he's like fucking hot. And he's fucking like everything. Like just like that. How do you be that successful at so many different anyway, what the fuck?
But yeah, that's my musical tastes in a nutshell. And now I just listen to a bunch of lo-fi hip hop when I'm not, grinding out angry lyrics from the duels.
That's very very now. Yeah, the lo-fi hip hop, especially the last 3 or 4 years, has been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too mainstream. When what did I link you the other day? The lo-fi hip hop WoW, and it's from the official. So
the official WoW channel has a lo-fi hip hop mix.
The new World of Warcraft has all the songs from the zones. They're all really good. They released an official lo-fi hip hop remix of every single zone's music. And to be honest with you, they're all fucking great, but it's just wild. That's like whenever that'd be like if you were watching like a fucking Kraft mac and cheese commercial and James Hetfield came on. He was like, yeah, this shit's cheesy. Like it's just like, okay, this is
not out of the realm of possibility.
Like, oh God, all right, this is a little too mainstream, guys. Like, oh man, it's pretty out there, but they were good. I'm not gonna lie, they were good.
I don't mind how mainstream it is. I know that I'm supposed to be like, no, if you don't listen to Nujabes, and then you can't call yourself a lo-fi fan. But I feel like a part of the way that it achieves that nostalgia factor where everything's sort of filtered and crunchy again, but in sort of a muted, like calm way. Mm-hmm. I feel like that invoking that nostalgia is meant inherently to be accessible, and it's really easy to produce as someone who's made lo-fi.
Sure. Well, and it isn't inherently offensive to become mainstream. I mean, that's obviously I'm being hyperbolic there, but there are. I mean, I think we can all look at there are right and wrong ways to sell out. Yeah, absolutely. And there are also some bands that have always been mainstream, and it always baffles me when people try to act like they're selling out. Like I remember this one time, my one of my friends on a music forum, I was talking to him about something about at the time the new Korn album, and it was when Korn made their quote unquote dubstep album that a lot of people hated or whatever, and. I do not understand. People are like, oh no, they just fucking sold out. I'm like, bro, it's Korn. What are you talking about? They've never not been mainstream. They're Korn. There's nothing more mainstream metal-wise than Korn. And I like Korn. I've been to several Korn concerts. I don't love them, but there's some fucking Korn songs that are great. And you know what? Come at me, bro, internet. But I enjoyed their shitty dubstep album. I thought it made perfect logical sense. I can't imagine anything that makes more sense to me. Korn has always been they've got the funk, they've got the fucking slap bass. It's very similar. I don't know how it isn't. It makes perfect sense to me. And I'm not saying it's the best album I've ever heard. I couldn't even hardly remember any of the songs off of it right now. But I listened to that shit on and off
and it
for
wasn't offensive to you?
Yeah, it was good. It just made sense to me. Why wouldn't they do that? I don't understand it. It's the same way with Metallica, or people they sold out. I'm like, dude, they're fucking Metallica. They haven't started doing weird shit. All their shit makes sense. On the flip side, yeah, man, Atreyu used to be the best shit ever, and I'll be damned if they didn't just Atreyu and Parkway Drive are the two where they're still so influential to me. They're so amazing. And Parkway Drive less so. I mean, they've definitely sold out, but Atreyu, I don't know what the fuck happened to them. Their first 3 or 4 albums were so fucking good, and like it's just they basically release a new album every couple years. It has one really good song on it that I'm like, oh my god, fuck yeah, boys, and then the entirety of the rest of the album is just like I don't even know who you are anymore.
That's how I felt. Well, no, it's not how I felt. That's the sort of effect that I had with Maroon 5. I actually really like Songs About Jane.
Dude,
and then
a lot of people
every album since.
Yeah, because they're just a pop band. And like they apparently weren't.
They used to be so jazzy and like good.
Now they're just like a weird front for Adam Levine to be hot and make sexy music videos and make millions of dollars, which honestly good on you, I guess, right?
Yeah, like, what a racket.
I was never really into them, but you are not the first person who has mentioned
fan
them
of More Songs About Jane.
They were like, a real band at some point, right?
Yeah. They made like if you listen to that album, like every song on there is like this smooth, sexy, jazzy rock, except for 2 songs, which are sort of boy band, but they're like grounded in that jazz, and so you enjoy them. It's not even that you tolerate.
What was the single off of that one? Their first one, I can't remember it right now.
Harder to Breathe.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's a little boy bandy compared to the rest of the songs on that album, but it's good.
Yeah.
And then
I remember liking that, and then
Kiwi. That was the only Kiwi is the name of the only good song that they've made since More Songs.
Oh man,
More Songs About Jane. Yeah.
That's gross.
I'm a little heated. I'm disappointed in Adam Levine, but you know,
I mean,
it's the classic Spider-Man thing, you know. The Uncle Ben speech, yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, they owe it to their ability to make good music, and they have not made good on that responsibility. Uncle Ben would be disappointed.
That's an interesting way to put it, but yeah, I feel that way about like Atreyu as well. Yeah, like they. I don't know, man. Like there are definitely times, and this is like going back to the whole thing with like metal specifically, and this is one of the things I hate the most about metal as a genre is just the weird gatekeepingness of it, like you're saying. So like there'll be a band that releases a song that has like, oh, God forbid they actually sang instead of scream singing. And everyone's just like, they sold out. And I'm like, no.
No, they didn't. They just wanted to be heard briefly. It's okay.
Check out a song if you want to hear what some like more normal song structure sounds like, and then also the best things about the metal genre. Check out a song by Lamb of God called Overlord. Randy Blythe is the singer of Lamb of God. He is known for having like one of the most unique, dynamic, perfect metal vocals ever, because I don't think anybody even knows how he does what he does. The way he scream sings is so like, I think you could break down a lot of scream singing and compare it to various different what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypes, where like maybe they're good at it, but it fits into like a particular niche. Randy Blythe's voice, there's no archetype. The way he sounds is just so. I don't know anybody who sounds like that dude. But he has this song.
Is it like CeeLo Green, where he just has like a really unique voice, or?
I think so. Okay. But it's also very technically different as well. The way, so there's like, I don't want to get too bogged down in the details, but metal singing is extremely technical.
You need your links, your one frame links.
Yeah, it's really, really technical because, any singing is technical because you want to do it right without hurting your voice. But that's like extra thing with metal, where it's kind of like where anyone can go in and do a Gollum impression for 35 seconds.
But only Andy Serkin.
Can you be Gollum for 5 hours in a back-to-back recording session? And that's where you're technical. And so metal's the same way, right? So Randy Blythe is extremely good at that, but he's also just does things that no one else does. Anyway, long story short, the song by Lamb of God called Overlord, it's entirely clean, normally sung vocals for about 80% of the song. And then it has like this amazing crescendo where they fucking go into like real metal mode. And anyway, a lot of people, I think that's one of the best songs Lamb of God has ever made. And that's saying a lot considering they are one of the most prolific, influential, successful, and respected metal bands of the last 30 years. I think that's one of the best songs they've ever made. And there were all these people that were just like, oh, fucking Randy sold out. He's like, fuck you. It is completely valid for the song structure. He is not singing just to make it appealing. Like, there is no element of that. It's not even a thing. And I can't imagine hearing that song and thinking that it had like a poppy song structure just because the vocals were clean. It's insane to me, but that's metal fans. That's fucking metal fans. They're just like, fucking, oh, well, I didn't ride a fucking Harley while killing bears in the fucking forest while listening to the song. I can't listen to this while I fucking lift weights. So fuck you. Like, it is the worst thing about the metal genre is that fucking, it's crazy to me how much metal is about like empowerment and owning your shit and being real. It's crazy to me that there are these fucking like, you don't even have to be like, I mean, weightlifting is like a stereotype. You don't have to be like an actual meathead, but the meathead, the stereotypical meathead mindset, right? Which is, I think if you know weightlifters is not really a fair stereotype at all, because most dudes who pump are super fucking nice and supportive. But
you can do this. Yeah, I believe in you, buddy.
But that stereotype is like, it's very prevalent in like that machismo bullshit. So anyway, I hate it. I hate it.
You know
so
what
much.
it is?
What?
So we made a pizza last night.
We did.
Will and I did. And the crust, the pizza bones, the outer rim of the pizza was very well done on the outside. It had this crisp like crunch to the outside, but on the inside it was soft, right? and your metal fans who are afraid of this are afraid of the textural contrast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because you don't want to sell out. Your pizza has to be burnt. It has to be hard and cracker. It can't be. Soft and delicate.
I cannot express to you how much I fucking hate those people, dude. There was this guy, like, I hate people who try to hurt people in the mosh pit. I hate him so much. There's this guy. I used to go to a lot of fucking metal concerts. I haven't been to a concert in a long time because COVID, but also just because I'm old and I don't do it as much. But like, I used to go to a fucking shit ton of concerts, and there was this fucking asshole who was at every goddamn even remotely metal band concert. Like, even they don't even have to be that hard. But if they were remotely hard, this dude would show up. He was like fucking 6'3" or 4. He had long hair, and he always wore these shitty fucking leather like bracers. It was like he had come from it's like he had come from a fucking what do you call it? Fuck the
LARPing convention.
Yeah. What do you call it when they do that? They're all eating turkey legs and dressing up like they're from old.
Oh, a Ren Fair.
Yeah, it's like he had come from a Ren Fair, but had like listened to nothing but like 80s thrash metal. So he had like a jean jacket and these fucking leather cuffs. That dude would just show up and he would just try and hurt people in the fucking pit. And you could tell he wasn't even there for the music. He was literally just there to hurt people. And I fucking hate that guy. I don't know his name, but I could tell you, if I saw him, I would remember his fucking face if I saw him right now at a concert. I fucking hate that fucking guy. He was at every fucking concert, and all he did was turn all of the good mosh pit vibes into bad mosh pit vibes at every single concert that he fucking went to. I fucking hate that guy. Anyway, that's fucking a lot of people who listen to metal, and it's not right. It ain't right. It ain't right, and I'm angry about it. 10 fucking years later, I'm still fucking angry about that fucking guy.
Shout outs to that guy, Clancy.
Fuck that fucking guy.
Fuck you, Clancy.
Anyway, I think this has been our musical Zucchini podcast. So,
Jesus,
what Christ, a wild ride! What? I have so many good titles for this, but I don't want to spoil it.
Man.
So I
don't.
I really do want to call it Zucchini Fleshlight, but man, I don't think I can. That's too much spoiler.
Too on the nose. Yeah, you want people to be surprised. You want them to be shocked that you fucked the Zucchini. Yeah. That's the appropriate response. You don't want them to be like, oh yeah. Fuck the Zucchini. Fleshlight. I got it. Long ways. Obviously.
Oh my God. Well, anyway, I have been Metal Music Man.
I've been Professor Lex.
And this has been the Morning Time Podcast. We will catch you guys next time.
Stay safe.